Well, if the Republicans insist on this lunacy, then yes, I suppose we will, and it'll be their fault that Americans don't get disaster relief, that Americans don't get their Social Security checks. That is on the Republicans.
That's Pramila Jayapal. She's a communist, and she wants to deny everyone everything as long as the Republicans get blamed for it. Now, she said it's going to be the Republicans' fault if people don't get their Social Security checks, which go out anyway, even with this partial government shutdown stuff. And it'd be so terrible if the Republicans failed, and then she voted against it because she has the morals of a, I don't want to indict street prostitutes, but morals and the ethics of a street prostitute. She, Pramila Jayapal, Democrat, member of the Squad, racist, anti-American, anti-capitalist, you know, the usual Democrat Party stuff. Yeah, and the Republicans, they're going to keep little Debbie from getting her Easy Bake Oven on Christmas, and it's all their fault. And then they vote against the bill that they say would get the Easy Bake Oven to little Debbie because the news media is so corrupt they know that they'll just get a kiss on the cheek from the New York Times. Speaking of Democrats, let's get to the racist messages because this one's quite remarkable. Happy Friday to you, good Friday to you, and welcome back. We remain at 888-630-9625, and Christmas is coming. It's coming soon. It's December 20th. That means we're only 5 days away, doesn't it? And only 4 from Christmas Eve, which is pretty good, too. Pretty good stuff. But before I get into all the politics, what's going on in Washington, this ridiculous bill and the sabotage that the Democrats are inflicting on our country and the children and Christmas and Santa Claus, they're blowing it up like suicide bombers. But the news media has got their back, so they know they're okay. But before I get to that, a story that I want to share, because we shared a bit of it, the first phase of this the other day. Racist messages found on Tennessee college campus were, quote, fabricated, end quote. School says, this matter caused enormous pain to our community. It's always a community. Rhodes College said. They love that word community. I don't think they know what it means. A Tennessee college revealed that racist messages found written on campus were fabricated by a student in an apparent attempt to make Donald Trump supporters look bad. That's the lead sentence in the story. Well, that's hard to believe, isn't it? No, it's not. It's not hard to believe at all. It's perfectly typical. They shoot CEOs. They go to engage in school shootings. That young woman who wanted to be called Sam, you know, even though she has a normal woman's name, wanted to wipe out all men. All men. Killed 2, wounded 6, then committed suicide. And Democrat, obviously, wants to eliminate all men, exterminate all men, because then women can live in peace, you know, to their end of their natural lifetimes, and then that will be the end of that, of humankind. But never mind that. And what else did she want to do? She wanted to, and the patriarchy. She was at war with the patriarchy. The Democrats do all of this. Rhodes College confirmed to Fox News Digital that a student had admitted to leaving the messages strewn about campus that were found over Thanksgiving break and were being investigated as a hate crime. They were a hate crime by another racist lefty. It's a hate crime. You guys are the hate crime. You're a hate crime in loafers. Loafers, kind of like penny loafers, things like that. Italian, usually. Instead, it turned out to be yet another race hoax. Thanks to the tireless efforts of our campus safety officers and the Memphis Police Department, who the Democrats want to defund, the investigation into the hate crime that occurred recently on our campus has ended with the identification of the perpetrator and the conclusion this incident was fabricated. This individual has admitted responsibility, the statement said. Has this individual been charged with a hate crime and expelled from college? Because, you know, the statement added, this matter has caused enormous pain to our community, and we are taking the appropriate steps to hold this individual accountable, I wonder, including all legal avenues that may be available to us. The school launched an investigation into the racist messages after flyers were reportedly found near its National Pan-Hellenic Council Plaza, the Pan-Hellenic, were the anti-Greek statements there. A space on campus that honors the school's 9 historically black Greek organizations. They have 9 historically black Greek organizations, fraternities and sororities. According to the local Memphis CBS affiliate, listen to this, Trump rules, and racial slurs about black people, the N-word, were written on 13 pieces of paper that were found around that area of the campus. Student and National Pan-Hellenic Council member Lauren Roberts confirmed the content of the racist messages to the outlet days after they were found, adding, "They were vulgar." Oh, thanks. Thanks for cluing us in on that. Another student condemned the messages, writing WREG. That's a local station. I didn't agree with it. They read, that's good. I know a lot of my friends who were pretty upset about it. Oh, that's good. You didn't agree with the racist messages. That's good. The school's critical campus safety communications office, they have one of those, put out a timely warning on November 30th to alert students about the racial slurs. It read, Rhodes College Campus Safety and Institutional Equity are investigating a reported hate crime of intimidation based on race bias. Writing they were found near the National Pan-Hellenic Council Monument on Saturday, November 30th, that contained profanity and a racial slur again and again. So once again, it's a Democrat. That's the bottom line. The school provided a statement, the initial discovery, saying, "We are working diligently to identify the person responsible for leaving a message of hateful rhetoric on our campus over Thanksgiving break." Now, how many times has this happened over the since Barack Obama came along? The Democrats decided that they'd have, and it is over and over and over again, a black student who's writing the anti-black racial slur, a Jewish student writing the anti-Semitic racial slur, and it happens again and again and again. And here we go again. Now, they're not saying, well, the student is black. They're just saying it's a hoax, it's a fraud, it's a sham, it's a put-on, and that leads you to believe. But then they don't say, because, and we'll take all appropriate action. But what will that be? We'll probably never know, because that's normally what happens on these college campuses, isn't it? Just amazing stuff. So another fake racist hate crime, but it is a real racist hate crime, because they're writing anti-Trump, trying to demonize and vilify anybody that voted for or supports President Trump. Got a pretty significant number of African-American voters, too, by the way. Trump rules, and then N-word, 13 pieces of paper, scattered flyers around the campus. And that's all fine with that's the Democrat Party doing that. Make no mistake. Don't kid yourself. And that's not all, because there was another one, Montgomery County High School in Montgomery County, Maryland. And Montgomery County, Maryland is 1 block from the radio station where we sit right now. On December 11th, the headline was Montgomery County principal on leave after racial slur found on black student's desk. Racial slur found. And the principal was put on leave? Okay. Wootton High School. Wootton. Woot. So Wootton High School's response to the racist incident, quote, was not up to our expectations, end quote, Montgomery County Public Schools officials said. The principal of a high school in Montgomery County, Maryland, is on leave, not voluntarily, after officials say the school delayed reporting an act of racism at the school, and then another incident at the school the same week. Someone wrote a racial slur on the desk of a black student on Monday, December 3rd, at Thomas S. Wootton High School in Rockville. Isn't that where you grew up, Michael? Yeah, right around there. Montgomery County Public Schools said, right, head of school support, and they've always got these long titles. The head of school support and improvement, Peter Moran. You support and improve the school? Well, what a concept. In a letter to families on Friday, they sent a letter to all the families. The delay in reporting and response to this incident only caused further harm to the black students, staff, and community, and left feelings of being unwelcomed and unsafe, and that Wooten is not a school where they have a sense of belonging, Moran said. That's what Moran said, because he's got a sense of belonging and all that stuff. And that was from back then. And now, racial slur, Washington Post, racial slur found on desk of black student at Montgomery High School, right? And you'll never guess what happened. Where's the solution? Where's the resolution? They suspended the principal, but the investigation is ongoing, and it's Christmas time, so maybe we'll never find out what's going on. But you know what it usually is, what it almost always is. Okay, yeah. Yes, another suspected hoax. Suspended a sentence. All right, now let's get back to let's get to some audio on the big story of the day, because Hakeem Jeffries is not on our side. He's not on the side of the United States of America. He's on the side of Tren de Aragua, the illegal alien Venezuelan gang terrorizing the country. 19 or 20 states now. I believe they're in 20 states now, Tren de Aragua. They were in 0 states when Joe Biden was inaugurated. But the Democrats are making things better. And Hakeem Jeffries is here to sabotage the Republican Party at every possible turn. And now they're demonizing, naturally, Trump, of course, and Elon Musk, because Elon Musk betrayed the Democrat Party. He bought Twitter and brought free speech with him. And the left, the Democrats, they're against free speech. So Hakeem Jeffries, last night, the leader of the Democrat Party in the House of Representatives, the minority leader, and he is the bad guy.
The Musk-Johnson proposal is not serious.
Musk.
It's laughable.
Laughable.
Extreme MAGA Republicans are driving us to a government shutdown.
Extreme MAGA Republicans are driving us to a government shutdown. And then he voted against the bill, along with every filthy, corrupt Democrat in the House of Representatives, save 2. 2 Democrats in the House voted for the bill. Hakeem Jeffries was not one of them. Hakeem Jeffries says the extreme MAGA Republicans, the Musk-Johnson MAGA Republicans, are voting now. I mean, they're voting to pass the bill, which would be the fix, right? But Hakeem Jeffries instructed his goose steppers to all vote against it, and so he killed the bill, while he accuses Elon Musk, who doesn't have a government position, and Speaker Mike Johnson of being MAGA extremists, and they're trying to cancel Christmas, these communist pig dogs that hate God. James Comer is a Republican from Kentucky in the House of Representatives, and he's saying, hey, look, we've got 38 Republicans voted against the bill last night. I would say against the interest of the Republican Party and against the interest of President Trump coming into office soon, we hope. James Comer.
If we're going to pass something, there's going to have to obviously have Democrat support. So we'll see what happens. But nothing can happen in this Congress without Democrat support.
Nothing can happen in this Congress without Democrat support because of the slim margin. Speaker Mike Johnson walked by some reporters last night, and one of my, I think it was Fox News reporters, said, "You're going to have another bill? You're going to have another bill on the," because it failed again last night. It looked like they were going to pass a bill last night, and then they didn't. Yesterday, the bill failed, and it was terrible. It should have failed at 1,547 pages, with every kitchen sink in North America thrown in there by the corrupt Democrats. $100 billion in giveaways, and nobody goes to jail. It's kind of amazing. Speaker Mike Johnson.
What's the play tomorrow?
What's the plan?
Stay tuned.
Well, we keep hearing that. You going to run another bill tomorrow, though?
We'll see.
We'll see. Stay tuned. What's the plan? Stay tuned. And you can't really say much more than that, because that's the reality of it. Can he get his own Republican caucus in line to vote for what the Republican Party wants and what President Trump wants. It's complicated. Well, you get a clean continuing resolution, not loaded up with all that pork. We call it pork. That's not halal. You know, this holiday season, if long days on your feet are wearing you down, remember hardworking Americans deserve better than pain slowing us down. For those who keep the country moving, get up and go to work. Honestly, G-Defy shoes deliver on comfort and on support. With patented VersaShock technology, G-Defy shoes, they help to absorb impact, help support your posture, stand you up straight, push up on your arches, gives you energy back with every step. My best girl and I, we've got pairs of G-Defy shoes. You hike around the city, your feet feel better when you're done hiking than they felt before you started hiking. Visit gdefy.com and use the code CHRIS, and you're going to get 50% off your orders of $100 or more. That's the code CHRIS for 50% off any order of $100 or more at gdefy.com. Stand strong and step comfortably this holiday season. That's gdefy.com. Yeah, the Republicans, they're not very good at politics. That's for sure. Got a lot more on this coming up, and your calls at 888-630-9625. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. Vladimir Putin held a press conference longer than any press conference that Joe Biden's ever held. And he says he's ready to negotiate with Trump on the Ukraine war. He also says that he has not spoken to Trump in the last 4 years since Trump left office, which flies in the face of what Bob Woodward of Watergate fame reported in October. And the news media went crazy over it, saying, oh, Trump's talking to Putin lots of times. And Putin says, no, haven't spoken to him. Trump says, haven't spoken to him. But the Democrats. Let's grab a quick phone call. Let's go to Scott calling from Maryland. Scott, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, Chris, how you doing, man? I love you.
Thank you, Scott. Doing great.
I'm just, they do the same crap every year.
Yep.
They try to push this bill through with all this pork in it, and then they hold the American taxpayers hostage.
Yep.
And I think we ought to be able to vote on these bills. We ought to be able to see 30 days before, and be able to vote on them.
Yeah, we, the taxpayers, we, the people that are being stuck with the bill, and they're supposed to work for us. Yeah, I think you're right. And it happens every year. And we need to reestablish regular order on Capitol Hill, Scott. We need to reestablish a funding bill and 12 spending bills. We need to have the bills come out of committees that consider what we're funding. It needs to be done in the light of day. They're giving us the bum's rush here, Congress. And then the Democrats all vote against it, and the news media blames the Republicans because 38 Republicans voted against it, but 100 and some odd Democrats vote against it. Our media. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Our ridiculous government. 197 Democrats voted to shut down the government last night for Christmas. And the Republicans, 38 Republicans, voted against the bill last night. So that, the terminology is voted to shut down the government for Christmas. 197 Democrats, and only 2 Democrats voted in favor of the bill last night because the radical extremist Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat leader in the House of Representatives, whipped them and told them, you'll all vote against toys for kids for Christmas. You're against toys for kids for Christmas. We're going to shut Christmas down. And that's all okay with the Democrat Party. It's good. And the news media, the New York Times, likes it very much. How each House member voted on the bill to avoid a government shutdown. That's the headline in the New York Times. The House on Thursday night failed to pass a spending measure that would have funded the federal government through mid-March, extended the farm bill for 1 year, suspended the debt ceiling for 2 years at President Trump's request, and provided new disaster aid. And what's the vote? 2 Democrats voted for it. 197 Democrats voted against it. And of the Republicans, 172 Republicans voted for it and 38 Republicans voted against it. And the Republicans are the villains of the story. Pretty amazing, corrupt country we have here. I'm sad to have to report the truth. We live in a corrupt country. Our politicians are corrupt. That's not all that unusual here and around the world. Our news media is filthy corrupt. The stuff is all over them. The bill was considered under a special procedure that suspends the regular rules of the House of Representatives, but requires a supermajority of 2/3 voting yes in order to pass. Nearly all Democrats voted against it, as did a number of hard-right lawmakers who oppose raising the debt limit. If you oppose raising the debt limit, we're at $35 trillion in debt. And if you're against raising the debt limit, then the New York Times says you're a hard-right lawmaker. So what are the hard-left lawmakers in favor of? Clubbing babies to death like they're harp seals with 3,000 a day. But never mind that. They like harp seals. Harp seals they like. They've never seen one, but they know they like them. So nearly all Democrats voted against it, and a number of hard-line Republicans, because they're against raising the debt limit without additional spending cuts. How dare they? That's what makes you hard-right. You might have just a hint of fiscal responsibility left in you, then you're hard-right. Congress must extend government funding before a Friday night deadline in order to avoid a shutdown. Oh, no, a shutdown. Now, federal government does shut down every weekend. You know that, right? They close at like 4 o'clock on Friday, and then they come back at like 10 o'clock on Monday because it's the government. Congressional leaders had scrambled to come up with a new plan after some Republicans, fueled by President-elect Donald J. Trump and Elon Musk, rejected a separate spending deal struck between Speaker Mike Johnson and Democrats that included several additional policy measures, but did not address the debt limit. Several additional policy, that's the kitchen sink. The euphemism that the New York Times uses to lie is several additional policy measures, right? Just amazing. Wah, wah, wah. And so practically every Democrat but 2, voted to kill Christmas for the children, and 38 Republicans. So it's obviously the Republicans' fault. See how that works? 172 Democrats vote against it. 38 Republicans vote against it, and it's the Republicans' fault. That's math. See, that's Democrat math, but it's math. They're quite amazing. These people. Yes, sir. Kathy Kester, 1 Democrat, voted for it. Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez voted for it. And 1 Democrat actually voted present. Mercy Kaptur voted present. She's a captor of the left. Just amazing. And the New York Times, amazing. Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. It was 197 Democrats that voted against it, not 172. That's more than 172. Democrat math. Amazing. Now, this is an important story because I've been pointing out for a long, long time there's a war going on in Europe. The news media doesn't talk about it anymore. And it wasn't going on when Donald Trump was living in the White House and President of the United States. President Trump has been talking about bringing peace to Ukraine and ending the war. The Russia, Putin is a communist, and so is Bernie Sanders. And Putin attacked Ukraine. He also attacked Ukraine when Obama was president, but then he didn't attack Ukraine. He attacked the Crimea when Obama was president. And he didn't attack Ukraine or anybody else when Trump was in the White House. Trump has said, I'll bring peace day one. Now, Putin held a long press conference yesterday, and the news media will say, oh, sure, Trump holds a long press conference and Putin holds a long press conference. They're alike. Joe Biden couldn't hold a press conference if his oxygen supply depended on it. But here are the headlines out of the Putin press conference. The Independent, a foreign newspaper. Vladimir Putin, they do love their colons. I'm ready to talk to Trump over Ukraine. That's the headline, right? The Voice of America, English News. Putin says he's ready to compromise with Trump on Ukraine war. That's the headline. The Moscow Times, that's out of Moscow, not Iowa, Russia. Putin says he's ready to talk with Trump, quote, anytime, end quote, about Ukraine peace deal. About Ukraine peace deal. That's the Moscow Times headline. The Reuters news agency, global news agency. Putin says he's ready to compromise with Trump on Ukraine war. Those are big headlines. The news media is not reporting it. And here's CNN. They made their headline a lie, a Democrat Party lie. Their headline is, Putin says he's ready for potential talks with Trump during year-end news conference. But where's the Ukraine part? This is their Europe World News at CNN World. Come on. You guys are supposed to report the news. Russian President Vladimir Putin put a positive spin on a spate of recent setbacks Thursday, insisting in a marathon news conference that Russia had accomplished its mission in Syria and was winning the war in Ukraine. And he nodded to the sea change expected in Washington, saying that he had not spoken to U.S. President-elect Donald Trump in over 4 years, but was, quote, ready, end quote, for potential talks with him amid expectations that the new administration in Washington will push for a negotiated end to the war in Ukraine. Now, there are several important elements here. CNN buried the lead. In fact, we still haven't gotten to it. He's ready to talk to Trump, but not about a compromise in Ukraine, because that would be too pro-Trump, and CNN can't do that. So they're burying the lead, as they say. First, they hit the lead in the back of the head with a shovel in the kitchen. Then they dragged it out to the garden, dug a hole, and buried the lead back there. That's not journalism. That's propaganda, right? And but there's key here, another key. In the press conference, Putin said that he had not spoken to President-elect Donald Trump in over 4 years. Isn't that fascinating? Because Bob Woodward of Watergate wrote in his book, and it was big, big news just a couple of months ago. In October, his book came out. Trump spoke with Putin multiple times since leaving office, Woodward book reports, and it became big news on the TV.
Former President Trump spoke with Vladimir Putin at least 7 times since leaving office.
At least 7.
Is that appropriate?
So look, we're not aware of those calls. I certainly can't confirm any of those calls from here. But if it is indeed true, are we concerned? Do we have serious concerns? Yes.
Yeah, that's cringe at the White House being asked by a fake reporter doing the Democrat Party's work for them. Bob Woodward's book says that Trump has spoken with Putin at least 7 times. And in October, we were leading up to the presidential election on November 5th, right? So they were doing everything they could to damage Russian collusion, which was a pure fiction made up by the corrupt Hillary Clinton. And the Politico story from October, Trump spoke with Putin multiple times since leaving office, Woodward book reports. The Trump campaign vehemently denied that the GOP nominee has been in touch with Russia's president. So Trump denied it. The news media attacked him for it. And now Putin says, I haven't spoken to Trump in 4 years. And that he's ready to talk to Trump about compromise, a peace deal in Ukraine. And I don't think it's even in the Washington Post today, and this happened yesterday. They don't report the news. They're not in the news business. They're in the Democrat Party propaganda business. Just amazing. your Democrat Party. All right, and I want to we've got lots of amazing stuff, of course, as always. But here's kind of a fun story that I took note of. Yesterday. Bret Baier is the anchor of the 6 p.m. show on the Fox News channel, and he is a very successful newsman, news anchor, Fox News, and they pay him a lot of money. And his loving bride, his wonderful wife, comes from a family. Her father has been a very successful businessman as well. So they're very comfortable, let's say, very comfortable. And I'm not sure I talked about it here, but his house, Bret Baier has been, I think, living largely in Florida lately. But his house went up for sale in Washington, D.C. A newly built house, in fact, went up for sale, the Bret Baier house. And the New York Post has the story today. The headline is Trump's commerce pick, Howard Lutnick, set to buy Bret Baier's $29 million D.C. chateau in a potential record-breaking deal. And here's an aerial photo of the house. You really need a helicopter to get the whole thing. And it looks like an embassy house. It's a beautiful French colonial style house. And they're reporting Howard Lutnick, CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald and President-elect Donald Trump's nominee for Commerce Secretary, is nearing a deal to purchase Fox News anchor Bret Baier's opulent Washington, D.C. mansion. The French-style estate, located in the upscale Foxhall neighborhood, was listed for $31.9 million last year. Now, we're at the end of December. It was listed last year. It's been on the market for, I think, more than a year. It's a high asking price. You might expect that an embassy, a government, might buy it, use it as an embassy house or an ambassador's residence or something, and recently reduced the price to $28.99 million. Michael Piercy was looking at it, but he decided that the pool was not to his liking, so he took a pass. While the final sale price has not yet been disclosed, real estate experts say it could surpass the D.C. area's current residential record of $24 million, set by a Georgetown home in 2007. That's a decade and a half ago, according to the Wall Street Journal, which first reported the transaction. The Wall Street Journal reporting the story. They've got the New York Post has pictures of the interior and the property, the backyard, and the one of the decks and things like that. The Baiers acquired the 1.5-acre property in 2018 for $5.4 million. There are a lot of houses in Washington that go for $5.4 million. This was just the piece of dirt, of course, before investing roughly $25 million to construct the 16,250 square foot mansion. That's pretty nice, I got to say. It's pretty nice. Pretty nice place. I've driven by it. I know where it is. I've paid attention to it. And I don't know Bret Baier well, but I know him a bit. We worked at when he started at the Pentagon after September 11th. I showed him around the Pentagon and things. And I've always liked Bret Baier. He's a good guy. And he's done very well, very successful. And he married very well, too, I've got to say, quite properly. So they modeled after the Château du Grand Luce in France. The residence features 5 bedrooms, a marble fountain, climate-controlled wine room, naturally, indoor sports court, a game room, and a putting green. Michael, do you still have your putting green? I had to get rid of the putting green. I'm sorry to hear that. That's very nice. Hey, success is good. It's a good thing. This Christmas, as we celebrate the gift of life, you and I, all of us, we have an opportunity to share that same gift with a mother and her baby. Imagine a young woman facing an unplanned pregnancy, feeling all alone, unsure of what to do, searching for hope. And that's where preborn ministries come in. Kelsey found herself with an unplanned pregnancy. Like most young women in this situation, she was scared, unsure of what to do. Kelsey already had one abortion, and she promised God she would never have another one. But sometimes life happens, right? And by the grace of God, Kelsey and her partner found a preborn network clinic, and they were introduced to her unborn baby by way of an ultrasound, a sonogram, right? Once they heard that heartbeat, they cried. They saw the little kid inside, and they chose life because, choice, right? Choose life. And now she's so thankful that she did, and thankful for her beautiful son that brings her great joy. This Christmas, for just $28, you can help save a life, an innocent, helpful little life. And thanks to a special matching grant, your gift will be doubled by the good people at Preborn. To donate, all you have to do is dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby, right? Dial pound 250 and the keyword is baby when you get to it, or you can go to Al Gore's Amazing Internet and go to preborn.com/plant. That's preborn.com/PLANTE. Thank you so very much in advance. And Merry Christmas. Yeah, Brett Baer's house. Yeah, the New York Post has the page. It's very nice, I got to say. Very tasteful. Very, very tasteful. Now, just to put that house in context, the boxer, a great boxer, Floyd Mayweather Jr. is currently, and this is the New York Post also, looking at a house in New York that's $49.5 million. $49.5 million that Floyd Mayweather is looking at. And not an important newsman, I've got to say. Quite a place. Womp, womp, womp. Yes, sir. All right, let's go to the telephones, Mike. Let's go to Gene calling from Youngstown, Ohio. Gene, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, good morning, Chris. I've got a comment, but I also hope I could do a testimonial for one of your sponsors' products. Anyway, the comment is I've always felt that I was real clear on my conservative politics, but this second continuing resolution has got me really kind of confused. Now, my congressman voted for it. He's been newly elected. He was first appointed, and then he got elected in the last election. He voted for it. I commented on his Facebook page that I'd hope he delivers a clean resolution for Christmas. Now, the problem in Trump's for it and Elon's for it and everything, I should have been for it, right, and not siding with the 38. But here's the problem. I heard that there's still some transgender money for children.
I'm going to ask you to hang in there. Can you hang in there for me, Gene?